Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. So, interesting news that's happened right now that somebody's found on the PTR that Mercy has been somewhat buffed. The range on her Resurrect has been increased. However, like the Myra changes that are also on the PTR, this might just be a bug. I wanted to say that outright. So I did want to start with mentioning that in today's video, just so people know, but bear in mind that a lot of stuff that's on the PTR shouldn't be. Blizzard spoke about this with Myra, saying that that was a bug and they were trying out some stuff. So put your pitchforks down if you're against Mercy at this point. But I do want to talk about Mercy and I do want to talk about Ana. Now that Myra is about to come into competitive, I want to look at the health and the balance of all of the other supports in the game currently. But ultimately, I want the focus to be on Mercy and how I feel that there's some real fundamental problems with her, even though she's in a much more balanced spot herself. I've actually found myself playing Mercy a lot more than before when these changes went through, and I believe that's more to do with having to be obligated to play Mercy a lot of the time, and this kind of goes onto a problem I want to talk about later on into the video. But first, I want to start with some Omnic meta stats. Focusing on Mercy to begin with, I want to look at her pick rate before in the old patch, and as you'll see for GM at least, she was almost 100% picked in those matches. And that's not just 100% of the time Mercy's in one game, no, that's 100% of the time Mercy's on both sides. But then if you look at the changes for the new patch, she's on a fairly healthy but still quite a large pick rate of 60%. So she's dropped 40% with her pick rate. But the one thing that I wanted to highlight is looking at the difference between the resurrects of the old patch and the new patch. And as you're seeing, there isn't that much difference, not as much difference as you may have thought, with any players that have tried out new Mercy. The wind up time on the resurrect is pretty long and it puts you in a very precarious position and can get you killed with ease. But as you're seeing on screen, it's only about a 20% drop in total resurrects, and again I think that highlights a huge flaw surrounding Mercy's ultimate. But one of the biggest problems with Mercy has nothing to do with the mechanics of the game, it's all about perception. I haven't had these particular players in my games, you'll have to let me know in the comments below if you've had them as well, because I've heard inklings, but there are people that are saying that Mercy is a bit of a troll pick now and isn't viable anymore. And that's really not true at all. In fact, in the higher tiers, Mercy's win rate has gone up as opposed to down with these changes coming in. It's a bit 50-50 in the lower tiers, but certainly as you climb up to the top players, Mercy isn't faltering at all. And that brings us on to Mercy's biggest problem that will need a lot of work to do it. Blizzard can't necessarily fix that, and that's to do with perception. Whilst I like playing Mercy, I won't focus on playing her too much because you start getting thrown into that role and almost bullied into playing Mercy all of the time. I deal with Hammy a lot, and this is a problem that he certainly has, where he has a good amount of time on Mercy. Players look at his career profile, seeing how much he plays, and basically force him to play Mercy. This was certainly the case with the old Mercy, but it's still quite popular with the new one as well. And as I said before, I'm having a lot of fun playing Mercy, but if I started to feel obligated and forced to play her, then I just won't. I don't think anybody should be in that position where they can't play the heroes that they want to play simply because one hero is too overpowered. Now, there is a certain element of skill with playing Mercy, not in the same areas as other supports though. It's no surprise that Xenia and Ana are more mechanically demanding than Mercy, but the positioning, map awareness, and just general game sense that you need to be successful on Mercy isn't as straightforward as most players think. So I will give Mercy players credit for that. But I think this is one of the main reasons why Mercy's pick rate has dropped so significantly, even though the changes haven't damaged her too much. It makes her feel more clunky and probably a lot less fun than before, but it's that perception, and you see it as well with Ana. Ana had a 10% pick rate for GM, and it rocketed all the way up to 50% with the new patch. However, looking at the damage done and elimination comparison from Omnic Meta, you see that there's really little difference. In fact, eliminations haven't gone up really at all. This of course is on average, and some Ana players are much more aggressive than others, but having a 40% pick rate rise like this with very little difference in how it's played, and the only difference being a damage buff, this really shows that it's more of a placebo effect for both of these heroes. All Blizzard needed to do was push Ana in the right direction just a little bit and players would flock back to playing her again. And as soon as players said, yeah, she's much stronger now, she's much more meta, players started playing her again, even though there wasn't that much difference, other than she does a little bit more damage and could look after herself just a little bit more. But now I want to go back to another big problem surrounding Mercy that does result around her resurrects, but I want to go back to the comparison between the new patch and the old patch. The major change to resurrect came outside of Mercy's ult, yet her resurrects per match is pretty high still, and I think that does highlight how strong Valkyrie still is in its current state. Now, there is some counterplay to Valkyrie, it's not a completely OP ultimate in the game. However, You need to look back to why Mercy was changed in the first place. Why was the old 4-5 man res Mercy changed? Well, that's because there was too much emphasis put around her ultimate, and she couldn't perform in the same kind of role, and she just wasn't that good outside of using that ultimate as well. It didn't really matter what an old Mercy would do outside of using the ultimate, but it was the ultimate that separated the men from the boys, and getting the most resurrects as you could possibly was how you won a lot of team fights and won a lot of games. Valkyrie plays a little bit differently, but you're starting to fall into the same trend with Mercy, that a lot of emphasis is put around her ultimate and how she uses it, as opposed to what else she could do in the game. Thus Blizzard have been running around in circles trying to fix this problem, however have landed back at square one, different ultimate, same problem. Mixing this with the perception and the frustration that players have with how Mercy is being currently, you have a very problematic hero. And while she's in a much more balanced spot, and maybe this change of the PTR may push her back into being too good again, who knows at this point, it might not even be a proper change, bear in mind. I still have a lot of worries about this hero, and it's a hero that I've been playing a lot more. I enjoy playing her. She's a good sort of, oh, we need a support, I could play Mercy and do some work without having to play Ana or Zenyatta, which I'm just not as good at. But we're in a bit of a respite with a hero, and I would appreciate not seeing any more changes to Mercy for the time being, until Blizzard can really nail down what they want to do with this hero, instead of sort of doing temporary fixes here and there to buffer up bit by bit, and then just having a really clunky hero that has all of these different changes that it's hard to keep up with. So let me know what you think. Do you think Mercy's in a good position, too strong, not strong enough? But also Ana, very interestingly, her pick rate is skyrocketed with very little change in her actual stats. Do let me know what you think, and like and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care, we'll see you next time.